Hey, I want to kick off today's video with a simple question for you. Do you think tariffs will actually lead to higher prices? I'm talking about everyday stuff, the things you and I buy regularly. The reason I'm asking is because there's still a lot of debate out there. Some people are skeptical. They don't think tariffs will have much of an impact on consumer prices. But I'd really love to hear what you think. Now, whether you believe it or not, here's what's actually happening. Walmart has announced that they're going to start raising prices. Why? Because they say they need to pass the cost of tariffs onto consumers, which means people like you and me are going to be footing that bill. So here's another question for you. Do you think Walmart and other companies are justified in doing this? Or is this just another case of corporate greed? Now let me give you some context. In April, the Consumer Price Index, or headline inflation, came in at 2.3%. That's lower than expected, and it's actually the lowest it's been since February 2021. And some people took that as a sign that maybe tariffs aren't as inflationary as we thought. But here's the part that a lot of people missed. The reason we didn't see a big price spike in April is because companies rushed to build up their inventories before the tariffs hit. For example, Apple emergency airlifted 1.5 million iPhones from India to get ahead of the new costs. And they weren't alone. Costco boosted its inventory by 10% compared to last year. Target increased theirs by 7%. Rivian stockpiled EV batteries from Asia. Pharmaceutical companies stocked up on medications. These companies saw what was coming and made moves to protect themselves and their customers in the short term. So what happened in April was this. Prices stayed relatively stable because companies were selling products they bought before the tariffs took effect. But that stockpile isn't going to last forever. Right now, it's estimated that the average business has about 3 weeks' worth of that pre-tariff inventory left. But that's just an average. Some may only have 2 weeks. Others might be sitting on 2 months' worth. Still, that buffer is shrinking fast. And once it's gone, we'll start to see the real impact. And look, that stockpile? It's shrinking day by day. Now, some companies have made the choice to absorb the cost of the tariffs, at least for now. They haven't passed it on to consumers yet. But let's be honest, that kind of approach can only last so long. Eventually, shareholders start to push back when they see profit margins getting squeezed. So this is where we are. More and more companies are starting to warn that price hikes are coming. And tariffs are the reason. We're about to find out how this plays out in real time. Now, I want to show you a short clip from Walmart's chief financial officer. He breaks down what's going on from their side of the equation. Take a look.
Lots of headlines this morning on Walmart's call out of having to raise prices to offset these tariffs. I know you don't take this decision lightly. Can you talk to us, your thinking behind it, and then how much on average will prices go up at Walmart?
It's good to speak with you, Brian, and good to be on the show. You know very well we're wired to keep prices as low as we can for our customers. Everyday low prices is what we stand for. And we're going to keep prices as low as we can, as long as we can. But when you look at the magnitude of some of the cost increases on certain categories of items that are imported, it's more than what retailers can bear. It's more than what suppliers can bear. And so we'll work hard to try to keep prices low, but it's unavoidable that you're going to see some prices go up on certain items. And so we'll work to try to keep that as low as we can, and certainly look to try to gain share and be aggressive and play offense in this environment to keep prices lower than others. But given that you've got 30% tariffs on certain categories of items that are going to be imported, you're likely going to see some price increases go up there.
All right, now I want to show you another part of that same interview. In this clip, Walmart's CFO is asked a really important question. Which products are going to see the biggest price increases? And by how much? Let's take a look.
John David, so when I walk into a Walmart store in a few weeks, what department where I see some of the highest price increases? And, secondarily, we see tariffs. We've been talking about tariffs all year. I hear tariffs 145% in China, and your first thought is, well, prices are going to go up 145% in furniture. I know that's not how it works, but what would in a current environment, what would it cost to buy some new furniture in Walmart today compared to this time last year?
Yeah, so a couple categories that stand out, Brian, would be electronics, toys. Those are one where we're more dependent upon imports, and certainly China. But vacuum cleaners is another example, baby strollers, car seats. And some of these items, when you're buying a car seat or a baby stroller, that's not really a discretionary item. That's a necessity, which is why we've and so emphatic that prices are still too high. But when you look across the basket of the goods, certainly there's going to be some areas where you see prices go up on these items.
Like double digits?
Well, if you've got a 30% tariff on something, you're likely going to see double digits. But it's why it's so important for retailers to really understand the elasticity of demand around.
All right, now I want to show you this next clip. And it's important because I'm not sure if everyone's considered this angle. You might be thinking, okay, tariffs only apply to imported products, so companies like Walmart will just raise prices on those specific items, right? But actually, that's not how it usually works. What many companies do is raise prices across the board, even on domestic products that aren't affected by tariffs, just so they don't have to dramatically hike the price of the imported ones. It helps them spread out the impact without shocking consumers on just a few items. So with that in mind, take a look at this.
And when you think about these price increases, do you think you might disperse them across the board to items that maybe aren't as negatively impacted by tariffs and import costs to lessen the impact of price increases that you may have to do because of tariffs on something like technology? How are you thinking about dispersing the price hikes?
Practically speaking, that's what all retailers will have to do. If you go back to what was proposed in early April, that's more money than likely the entire retail industry made last year. It can't be fully absorbed by retailers. It also can't be absorbed by suppliers. And so you'll see merchandisers work to mix the merchandise and the categories to try to absorb this in a way that is least impactful to customers.
All right, so here's the gist of what they're saying. They're not just planning to raise prices on imported products. Instead, a common strategy is to increase prices across all products, even the ones not affected by tariffs. Why? To avoid sticker shock. By spreading the cost evenly, it softens the blow and keeps any one item from standing out with a massive price hike. Now, in this final clip I want to show you, the CFO is asked a key question. When can we actually expect these price increases to start showing up? Take a look.
But I think that's only half the picture. You've really got to look forward because a lot of the price increases that we've talked about with tariffs have not taken effect yet. We'll begin to see some of this as we get into the back half of May, and then also in a more pronounced fashion in June. And so I don't know that we can look at the first quarter and use that as an indicator of what the second quarter is going to look like.
All right, I want to walk you through something that's been making waves recently. Over the weekend, specifically on Saturday, former President Trump posted a message on Truth Social. Here's what he said. Walmart should stop trying to blame tariffs as the reason for raising prices. They should eat the tariffs and not charge their valued customers anything. I'll be watching, and so will your customers. That's a bold message, and it didn't take long for Walmart to respond. Later that same day, May 17th, Walmart put out a statement saying, "We've always worked to keep our prices as low as possible, and we won't stop." Now, here's the reality. It's not just Walmart. And honestly, that shouldn't come as a surprise. Companies across the board are preparing to hike prices. Apple, for example, is already signaling increases, with or without tariff exemptions. Sellers on Amazon, same story. They're adjusting prices too. Now, just to clarify, the tariff rate isn't 145% like some of the headlines might make it sound. But even at 30%, that's still a serious hit. And the effects aren't all hitting at once. What we're hearing is that these price increases will roll out gradually, from now through Q3, so think sometime around September. So what does that mean for us as consumers? Basically, we're looking at a 1-2 punch. The regular inflation we've been dealing with, plus a fresh wave of tariff inflation. It's a double whammy, and yes, it's going to sting. Now, I know a lot of people are asking, okay, but where is the tariff inflation? I don't see it yet. And that's fair. Personally, I'm not in a rush to see it. I'm totally fine if it holds off a little longer. But it is coming. The bigger question is, just how much will it impact prices overall? That's something we'll all be watching closely. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.